Hello programmers, Spidy is back with one another video. In previous video, what we have seen about we have implemented a POC, and we have also seen that how we can implement this tensor object detection API with this recognition API. And here I think in that we have used this API gateway and Lambda function to handle the request. So now today we are also going to perform the similar POC, but this POC will be enablement of a chatbot, and that will be also to chat history. So we are going to use GPT-4 API AWS Lambda function in API gateway, and as a data source we are adding our custom data source, which is nothing but some question answers regarding AWS, and user will be treating as a some like new beginner in AWS. Bot will try to answer from this knowledge base as well, and if it is not working, then it will try to add answer from that knowledge base, like which is there with model GPT-4. And if it doesn't know answer, it will directly say I don't know answer. So let me just give you the demonstration of bot. So let me refresh the page. I think page is already refreshed. And now how chat history will be working, here you can see this ID. So this will be the ID that you just need to allocate to API, and that will then with this ID it will remember all the chat histories as well. So let me enable just like my answer hi. So you will get answer from GPT-4 API. So you will get the glimpse of like how you are just communicating with a normal GPT, but here one like little difference will be there, the response time. So response time would be here little, you can consider little more, because all the things you have done by your own, but they are having like own big servers. So still the response time is good, 6 seconds, and you can see hello professional as a AWS assistant, how may I help you. So I'm just going to ask some question, but I'm going to add my own flavor, like can you give me pointers, can you give answer in pointers. Let's see what it is giving. And you can see the answer is very big, and the answer is generated which is pure and perfect. And you can see all them like this is markdown answer. So you can see the bold pointers as I ask, like can you give me in pointers. Okay, now how you can enable, you see the chat history is enabled. Let me ask some other question, but not a question but cross question of this, like okay, but can you give me in short pointer. Let's see, because this ID, with this ID it will remember the user you are. So it will have the storing of chat history, and then it will remember. See, you can see the answer now. It is very short, as I mentioned, it is very short pointer. Okay, now let me straightly ask, sorry, what question I asked you before I forget. So this is just a demonstration of chatbot that we are going to implement. First we are going to build the architecture from the scratch, and then we are going to implement all those things. And the answer is right, you ask about SageMaker processing. So that was a simple demo of our chatbot application. Now this will be our video flow. First of all, we have seen the demo. Now we are going to create the architecture, and then we are going to implementing the whole solution. Now to draw the architecture, I'm just going to use this tool which is eraser.io, that will allow us to create architecture. And there are multiple features like AI diagram is also enabled. Here you can like write a description, and you can also add your markdown as well. So this is a markdown for my architecture that I've already added. So these things I've already like this is the chatbot that I already told you. That now let me talk about tech stack. So tech stack, as a VectorDB, I'm going to use a PostgreSQL, AWS Lambda as a backend of our API, and API gateway is a front of like API that we are going to create. And for LLM model, we are going to use a GPT-4, and a framework I'm going to use a Langchain. So without wasting time, let's get started. So let me go to canvas here first. So first of all, what we need to add, we need to add some documents here. So as I'm thinking, like what is the first flow of architecture. So flow will be start from this database is nothing our document. So just add a PDF here, and for our this whole implementation, like most of formats are working. So let me add Excel as well. Excel is nothing but one kind of CSV file that you can add here. So you can just literal insert this icon. So this will be nothing but our data source. Okay, now what we need to have, to where we need to ingest this data into database. Database is going to host on a EC2. So just write EC2 here, and this is a very good feature that you can get any icons easily with just by typing. So you don't need to go on Google and copying the icon from internet. So this is EC2 icon that I have attached here. Okay, done. Now which database I'm going to host, which would be okay, I have icon PostgreSQL as well, so this is very good thing. So let me write EC2 here. Let me adjust the font size. Small. Okay, fine. Now let me add one rectangle here to make it little outside, and so this icon will be on left side because this whole will be the fully data ingestion layer. So let me add text called data ingestion. So this is nothing but my data ingestion layer where I will be ingesting the data. Now one more thing that I need to add here. What is this? OpenAI model, because see, when we are going to process the data, either it can be PDF or CSV, what we need to have? We need to have OpenAI embedding model. So for that I need to have GPT. So what I can write here is OpenAI. Yeah, I got the icon. So with this I can ingest the data. So this would be embedding model. Okay, text is little big here. Small, I need very small. Yeah, this is fine. So this is my data ingestion layer is completed. Now let me add one another layer. So for that, what we need to do now, what service we need to have? So our data ingestion layer is complete. Now we need to think about data retrieval layer. So for that we need to have AWS Lambda function. So now icon is in same size. Now AWS Lambda here I have added. Now with AWS Lambda, what we need to have? API gateway. Why? Because we need to attach our API with AWS Lambda function. Now we are going to make the connection between all those layers that we have created. This is going to be very simple and sweet architecture because there are not multiple things involved here. Okay. Now we are going to use SAM here. Okay, but for SAM, this with when you are going to use the SAM now, so there is one thing called container. I think all of you know about Docker container. So this Lambda function will be built using a Docker. So let me add Docker as well. So this whole setup, you know, this whole application will be treated as a serverless application, and that's why this SAM is known as a serverless application model. So here we need to add a Docker. So let me add Docker here only then. Yeah, this is looking cool. I don't know why this, I think I just click mouse. Lambda function, small, API gateway, small. Let's add some space here, because here also what we need to add, OpenAI GPT-4 model. So what we'll do, just copy this. GPT-4. Okay, and now I think everything is aligned. Okay, now this looks perfect. Now just add the connection. Okay, I don't want double side connection here because from embedding model only data will be ingested in EC2. Okay, now to reality, make one user here. Now user maybe you can add here. So like when you see, when you are drawing the architecture, you will get the glimpse automatically when you know the things. So always in production or in real time application, people don't start with just writing the code. You need to have architecture. So then with architecture you can go flow by flow. Like you can see now, this is my data ingestion layer. So I can start with data ingestion layer and then I can create, I think I can go with this data retrieval layer. So now things are like, for me now everything is clear because I have this architecture in front of me. Now user will be there. Now we need to add some API icon here. I think API icon I can't find here. Yeah, I think this is not, but this is a link icon. Okay, I'm just going to use this icon as a public API. See, now API will be hosted on the internet, but this your resources will be outside, inside of AWS. So what I'm going to do is make some partition here, because these things will be running into AWS. Now you always, when you are drawing your architecture, make sure you are clearing all these things, because otherwise it will later on create confusion, like where all this service running, either it is on local or like it is there in AWS or it is in public. So let write me AWS. I think I got the icon. Let make it little small, and now I can know that these things are working in AWS, but my API is outside of AWS, because API will be in front page of public, so anyone can access this API. Now let me add a connection between these two layers, and this will be the double side connection, because user, like from Lambda function, it can request the data and this will send the data, so it will be the two-way communication. But internal of this, let me add one more connection, because whatever information, whatever context that we got will be feeding into the GPT-4 API, and again it will be the two-way communication. Again this model will be responded and these things will be go into the Lambda function, and Lambda function will be directly, then I think let's create, okay, maybe add this icon on top of, maybe somewhere like this, because GPT-4 should not be between this. So these things, these little things are very important. Like when you are building all these things, you need to know why these things may be important. Okay, now I think every flow is very clear, because like with, when your answer will be processed, Lambda will send back to API get. When this API will be sending like getting questions from user, it will send to Lambda. So this will be the two-way layer, not the just one-way communication. So now let me make it small. This will be my data retrieval layer. Okay, I think this is also a little big now. Now let connection between this API. Now this API will be also two-way, because user might get sent the data just like question and answer as well. So here add my question, what is AWS Lambda, or don't, I think let me just add a user's question, because I can see question might be small and I can add, but what about answer, because if I'm going to add a real question, I need to add real answer. This will be only one way, because user is sending the question. Question to whom? API. And now this API, what will do? API will be go back to API gateway, Lambda will be trigger, and these things will be retrieve data from here, which is a data ingestion layer. Now what user will get? Just copy this user answer. Now let me add connection here between this and let add connection to user as well, because now user will get the answer. Okay, now this is looking perfect. So users send question, users get the answer, and that's how it should work. Let me add another icon, because how user will be treating, just like it is nothing but it is a Python application. So there will be the Python agent will be running here. If we are going to implement same here as well, because see, in this Docker container my Python will be also there, so I can add this little icon here as well. So I can be in sync that my Lambda will be working with Python and Langchain, and that will be in a Docker container, just because of we are using a SAM. I'll make it little here in center. And now my architecture is almost done. I think I just forget to add names here. So it should be data sources, and let's make it very small. And you can see like 10 minutes back we are not having anything, but now I have very clear flow, like when things will be working and how flow is going to. So just you can give the pointers and numbers as well, but I think that will be very like for long this video, because I think 18 minutes has already passed. So this will be the first flow. User will send question to API. What API will be do? API gateway will trigger the Lambda function. What Lambda will do? First Lambda will get the context from the data ingestion layer, which is nothing but our PostgreSQL will give the context. With this context, what it will do? It will call to GPT-4 API. GPT-4 will give you the answer. And then Lambda will be return the answer to API gateway. API gateway will send a response back to users, and user will get the answer here. Okay, and that's how this architecture is working. And at the end, just add one big flow here. And just give this as a version name. Always give version name to your architecture, because otherwise, like if you're making any changes, it would be very easier to track. So what was my application name? LLMQA AWS version 1.0. And now I want to make this text first of all bigger. I think you can also add code here as well, but I want to like it is a text. Okay, and now if I'm going to see, and this is my high overview of architecture. Let's make it little small. Okay, now it is in center, and this is my architecture. And now let's export this architecture. So for export, you just need to click on this three dot. I want that to be in just a canvas. Image type would be PNG. And you can see this is a perfect architecture. So from the step 1, data ingestion, to data retrieval, and then our application is working. So now let's implement this. So first step is what we need to do. We need to enable the data ingestion layer. Okay, done. Things are exported. So our architecture creation has been completed. Now we can continue with our technical implementation. What we need to do now? First of all, we need to set up the database with EC2. So what we need to do, create EC2. So as you can see, already running with a PostgreSQL setup. So as of now, I'm just putting that on hold, and I'm just going to create new instance. So guys, I'm spending my money on just to create this tutorial because things are like I'm going to choose a larger instance, because with T2 micro, I think PostgreDB and all those things will not work because we are going to do heavy compute on that. So I'm spending money from my own. So just I just wanted you like share this content, and don't forget to subscribe Machine Learning Hub. So let me add some server name, PGVectorDB. So now let me give some unique server name because I already have PostgreSQL. So this is PGVectorDB server. I need to have Ubuntu latest one, which is 20.04. Instance type T2 micro will not work because if you are going to host database, at least pick some large instance, and this instance is costing me T2 large. Keep a name. I think as of now I'm not going to have EC2, but I'm there in Mumbai region, so let's choose I already created, which is in Mumbai region. Now just allow HTTPS traffic from internet both, because we are going to treat as a host. Now I need to have at least 62 GB allocated, or just a 64 GB allocated, because with 8 GB storage is not going to work. And for this storage EBS we also need to pay. So I think everything setup is done. Let me launch instance and wait for a while. We are going to connect with EC2. We are going to install lots of things in EC2, because the same EC2 we are going to create for a Lambda application, because we need to have SAM CLI. So we are going to install Docker as well. So let me go to my original EC2 which we have created. So what will be the host of your database? So this public IPv4 will be a host of a database. Let me connect to my EC2 instance, and this will be the fresh EC2. We are going to install all the things. Okay, I think still EC2 is not available. See, if you see this red error, just close the app and wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Things will be ready. I think sometime it take maybe more than 2 minutes as well. Sometime it is easily available within 30 seconds. So it depends on the resource availability at AWS side. Okay, I'm there in my EC2 sudo Now we need to install most of lots of things. Okay, so but for database, what we need to do? First of all, always when you are logging into the any EC2, just use apt update. What this will do? This will just update the all available packages. Now I have actually created some notes for that. Like we need to do multiple things here as well. Even I have taken some tutorials, blog post as well, that is actually giving us a way. Like from that only I came to know that's how you can use your database as a host. So I'm just going to redirect to this flow, but let me first install my database. So this is a PGVector enabled database, which is apt install PostgreSQL. So just use this command, which is nothing, PostgreSQL 15 PGVector. So in older version it is not supporting this. Okay, I think we got some error. So we need to go to PGVector, PGVector. We just need to write PostgreSQL. First of all, from official site, from official download side, we need to enable this Linux. My distribution is Ubuntu. So first of all, we need to update the repository. So copy this command first. So once your repository will be updated, you will see this. So these two things are I think needed. Okay, done. And now just again apt update. So this PostgreSQL repository is now updated, and now what we need to do again to run this command. And now you will see that it is asking me to install. Just press Y, and I think wait for a while. The installation would be done within 1 minute. I'm just pausing the video over here. Okay, my installation is done successfully here, as you can see here. Now what else we need to do, because we are going to use Python multiple times, so let's install that as well. So it should be apt install Python 3 pip. So Python would be there, but pip would not be available, so you need to install that as additional. So I think these things also will take some time. Okay, now my Python 3 pip is installed. Now what my database, let's check the status of our database. So there is one command, systemctl and status PostgreSQL. So you can see my database is now currently running. It is active, and it will be always active even through until you just restart or turn off your EC2. Okay, even through after restart it will automatically enable, because these things is already registered as a service of EC2. So this will be never going to switch off until you restart or switch off the EC2. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to enable the user password. So this is a separate block that I have referred to do this stuff. So first of all, I'm just copying this content from here, which is the PostgreSQL. So here what we are going to do, we are enabling first of all our database to use with password, because our database will be open, but I need to make sure that it should be treated as a password. But if you want that your database is not open on public, you can use a private VPC. Inside private VPC you can create your database. Okay, now I'm connected to shell. Now what I need to write, so this is the command password postgres. Now it is asking me for password. I'm just entering my password. Okay, I think for me caps lock was on, so just again I need to do this. So make sure you are using it properly. Okay, now done. Password is enabled, as you can see here. Now what we need to do, now we need to configure a remote host. So for that, let me just mix outside of it. So there are two things we need to change. The first one is a PostgreSQL configure. So here what we need to change, let me show you. So just write this, instead of Vim just use this nano. So just write this here. Okay, we need to just make exit from here. So if we are going to write this, we'll get this file which is already created. Now you need to go till below where you will see the connection string. So instead of localhost, see, when you are going to set up your database, it would be always localhost, but we need to make it star here and make this comment out, Control X, save. Yes, so the first setup is done. So again, what you can do is just restart. So systemctl restart PostgreSQL. So first thing is done. And then you can check the status. So I think my database is restarted, and again I think it is enabled. Now we need to enable second thing. Now what is second thing we need to edit? We need to edit this PGHBA configure file. So let me show you. Just go to again EC2 connect terminal. You will see this file. Now here we need to enter our host and other information. So just press enter at this bottom. Now you can just copy these two values. The first one is this for IPv4, paste, and second value is again same for host all. So what 00 here it mentioned that for all available IPv4 or IPv, it will host our database. So Control X, Y, done. Again let's restart the PostgreSQL. Now PostgreSQL will run on which port? It is running on 5432. So we need to enable that security group. Sorry, I meant to say that inbound rule. So I'm just going into the inbound rule, not sorry outbound. We need to go into inbound rules here. Just make custom TCP, but I think we'll have PostgreSQL here as well, and you will see that 5432, and this is important step, anywhere IPv4 that anyone can connect with your database, because it will be anywhere IPv4 000, anyone can access your database. Okay, let me again restart PostgreSQL because post setup is done. Status, database is running fine. Now how we'll verify that database is running? So first of all, let me do one thing. Let connect to my database. Now so just mention your IP here, IPv4, and this will be a default user. So I'm just using my Postgre user, but if you want you can create your own user. And now it is asking me to write password that I have entered. I'm just enter that password, and now let's see. I'm just connected to my database, which means that my host is working, my database is working. Now let me see what are the things available. /l, you can see this database available. I can choose Postgres here. Okay, let's see what database available. Okay, I think there is no database available. Okay, so everything, it means that everything is working smoothly. My database setup is done. Now again, how I will verify? See, this is the first verification that I can do that. But second thing, I have actually already written script here over, because I always wanted to connect with Python, and I need to just change host here, because this is going to be host of my database. Database username and DB name will be the Postgres, but if you have created another DB, just mention your DB name. And I think my password is also open, Spidy 20, because this is just a demo video. I'm not going to use this password for any of my database. So let me remove all other stuff, and this is way of my debugging. Okay, so what this will do? So I'm just using this library, which is a driver, and this is specific driver for PGVector. Run this. So I have mentioned my host details. So what I'm going to do, select version. I'm just using simple query, which is select version. If everything is working, I will get this answer. If anything is not working, see, you can see my data. I can access this database with my Python script, because I got all the things, and you can see IP and other information. But if I'm changing here anything like instead of 170 and 179, it will not work, because this is not right hosted. Maybe I will get some error just because of wrong connection. And you can see now, I think after some time it will be timeout, because things are not working. So that's how we can enable the setup of our database. Okay, I'm just going to stop it because this is not working. So this is my right IP. I need to remember this all over time, and you can see, I think this is just a keyboard interrupt error. Now we need to enable the document processing. So as I can go back to my architecture. What we need to do, ingest the data. First, how I will ingest the data? We need to enable something called, first of all, see this data ingestion either I can do from, I can create another Lambda function, but as of now I will going to do it from local only. Why? Because I am only having one data set. Okay, but if I have a huge data set, I can go and enable the S3 trigger when file is uploaded, that will be automatically stored into the database. So this is my function. So first of all, I need to enter here host. So I am reading all the values from the environment variable, which is a best practice when you are working with a production. My database, username, password, I think everything is same only. I just need to change the value of host here. Just copy paste this value. My collection. So collection is nothing but when you are working with Langchain, it will create a new specific two database actually, Langchain collection and collection embeddings. So this will be the collection. So this is actually a separate architecture structure which is created by Langchain. Now I think we don't need to have both authorization enabled here. So I'm just removing this thing from here. And what I'm doing is, see, in PGVector we have a function called connection string from DB parameters. So we need to mention all these values, and which is already right. So it will automatically connect with your database. So PGVector actually using this driver which we already use in connect.py. So PGVector is coming from the Langchain. So if you can see the Langchain, there is extension called PGVector. And now with this PGVector, we can enable this whole setup of our database ingestion. Now if you can see PGVector, so this is the library from Langchain, and with PGVector, if you have right credential, you can directly access your database. And now I have created one function, document processor. What it will do, first of all, it will split the data. So this is a basic function. I'm not going to explain you the whole code. This is just a basic information you should be aware with the Python. So I'm checking the extension. If it is a PDF, I'm loading with the PyPDF loader. If it is CSV, I'm just loading it with CSV loader. If it is Excel file, I'm just using unstructured Excel loader. And these things are coming from this Langchain document loader. So Langchain is a fully framework that you can use to build any kind of LLM application. So this is my function to split the data. Now once the splitting is done, what I will do, recursive character text splitter, and my chunk size is 1000, chunk overlap is 150. You can adjust this size according to your data size, but for me I have small data, but still I am using one chunk. So in just one chunk size, which is 1000, my whole data set will be process finished. And once, so what I'm just doing, first of all, I'm splitting the documents. If it is huge, it will split into multiple chunks. It will returning the docs. Now this is the most important function, which is a push data. So PGVector has a method called from document. So this will push data. This what it will do, it will push your all the things into the database. So what here we are doing, documents. So document is nothing but things we got from the document splitter. So with this split data, will get the this docs which is returning, and this docs we are going to access here. Now embeddings. So this is important. Now embeddings, what we are going to do is from Langchain OpenAI, you need to install pip install Langchain OpenAI. So let me show you the requirement.txt, and these all things we need to install here. Okay, so OpenAI embeddings you can see here on top. So I just using this. Now to use this OpenAI embeddings, you will get some API key error. So what you need to do, first of all, get this API key value from your environment variable. See, I'm going to destroy this key after once this video is done, so don't worry. And now you need to set this API as an environment. See, if you are running this in local, but if you are running with Lambda function, you don't need to do this step. Okay, but since we are in local, just do this thing, os.environment OpenAI API key, your API key you just mention here, and once this is done, it will automatically finalize a text embedding model here. So these things will be managed by Langchain automatically, and this is the thing that we need to mention. Like for embedding function, I'm using OpenAI embedding. You can use a Bedrock embeddings as well. There are multiple LLM models that you need to define. Collection is most important thing. What is the collection name here? So here I'm just using new YouTube collection. I don't know which is very weird name, but anyway, connection string. So connection string will help this Langchain to ingested data. What is our connection string? Again, connection string is built using our values like driver, host, port, database, user, password. And once these things is done, all the things will be, data will be pushed into the Langchain. Sorry, not a Langchain. Using Langchain, it will be pushed into our EC2 PostgreSQL. Okay, but still one thing is remaining. If you can see PGVector. So PGVector setup we have not enabled. We just install the database, we make the connection. Okay, so what we need to do? That's why actually actually this part is remaining, which is very important. So what we need to do? We need to install the PGVector extension. So for that we need to connect with database first. Again, I think this is very irritating procedure when you are do testing. So again, I need to connect with my database. Okay, I think my IP is a different. Okay, I just wrong copied. Done. Now what I need to do, this is a command, create extension vector. So if you are not doing this thing, you will miss the like it will not work for you. And you can see, once you see this create extension means PGVector setup is done. If you want to just verify this, just copy this command and paste. You will see that vector is official as a call. See, when you are working with database, there will be string, varchar, like integer, float, numbers. So all things will be there. So now vector is also one of them. It is a data type. And when you see this, it means that your vector PGVector setup is done with your PostgreSQL, and now this code will be running. Now I'm just going to execute this code from my local machine only. I don't need this photos anyway. I'm just removing this. Make sure you are having all this requirement installed and Langchain. I think you can use the latest version. Okay, I need to mention my path, which is this only. So first of all, I'm just using any CSV file. So I have this random CSV file, which is AWS sample QA. Let me run this and see if it is working for us, or I think we'll get some error. So let me just verify our host first. So host value I think is right. Run this. It will take some time, and once everything will be done, I will get this message. If this is perfectly working, I will get key, your file is pushed successfully into the collection. And now you can see my data is pushed into the connection. Now how I will verify? So for that, again you just write L, select your database, Postgres, again just write DT, and now you will see that I was telling that there will be two tables, Langchain PG collection, Langchain PG embedding. So don't ever try to select star on PG embedding. Just if you want to verify, just to select star from PG collection, because PG embedding will have huge number of collection and that you can't see on your screen. And you can see now my new YouTube collection is created over here, and this will be having UID, and with this it will be able to track your embeddings. So our most setup is done. If I'm going to architecture back, data ingestion is completed. Now I need to think for data retrieve here. Again I will be going into the EC2. Where is my EC2? Okay, let me go exit. I think we don't need to open this shell again. Now apt install. Now we need to think for retrieval. For retrieval, what we are going to use Docker. So I think docker.io is there. I'm not sure what is this. apt install docker.io. Yeah, fine. So first of all, we are going to install Docker, then we are going to install SAM, and then we are going to install this whole I think this credential as well, because we need to have credential enabled for this account to access your AWS resources. So ls Docker setup is done. Now we need to install AWS CLI. So AWS CLI you can write here. Okay guys, you can see the efforts that I'm giving just to publish these videos. These are multiple researches being conducted to just perform this in front of you without having any error. So make sure you are appreciating the effort, and things should be work for me and for you as well. If you are getting some error, just let me know guys, but don't be like you are pushing each and every error in the comment section. Just try to solve it by yourself, and that's how industry is working. See, if you are going to push one error over there or any videos, no one can able to resolve that. Okay, done. Our setup is done. Now we need to enable AWS configure. Profile is Kushal, this is my name, access key ID I need to mention, so which I have handy here, which I'm going to erase once video is finalized. So make sure you should not give this information to anyone, and this credential is containing most of the important permissions. Default region I would love to do work with AP South 1. Default output format none. Once AWS S3 LS, I think it can't able to. If you are getting this error, just do one thing: APS3 LS, AWS S3 LS. This is just I'm verifying my credentials. So just mention profile Kushal, and you will see, if you can see just you need to enable S3 full access. If you can see this bucket information, it means that your credential is successfully set up. Because when you are installing the SAM will require AWS CLI with credential. Now just use SAM download. Just search here, you will see the first site from AWS. Just search for Linux 8664, copy this URL, wget, I'm not going to verify this, I'm just mentioning this once. I think this extraction will take some time. Okay, I don't have unzip here. Okay, I'm just pushing video over here only. Okay, once the setup is done, you just go back to this screen and just run this command. I think this will also take some time. And once also this setup is done, then just write, if you can see the things. I think this installation will not take much more time. Just mention the same version. If you can see the version, then it means that everything is working well. And now SAM is installed successfully. Now we need to push some things here. Okay, now this is most important thing. When you are working with SAM, just create a separate directory like just Lambda app, create another directory called backend, push your Lambda function file, second is requirement.txt, and outside of root folder place your template.yml file. So again I'm just showing you one main directory, one template.yml file, one backend folder, or maybe you can choose any other folder name. Then just mention your Python file script, which is nothing but a Lambda function, and then requirement.txt. Requirement.txt will contain all the requirements that will be used by our Lambda function. See, if you are going to create different layers for all these things, now this is going to be very headache kind of thing, because you can't install multiple layers, and it will show you some memory error as well. Okay, so just mention this. Now this is my Lambda function. I'm just giving you the high level overview here. So again, most of things we need to import here, like PGVector again to just communicate with our database. Now runnable pass through, this most are important components from Langchain. Now we need to import a chat OpenAI model here, OpenAI embeddings. I think we don't need here. Now this is most important thing. To store the chat history, we need to have this Postgres chat message history, and this is a prompt and chat prompt template and message placeholder. So this will be giving some information to context. Now just enable the logger. Now get all values from environment variable, otherwise it would be very difficult to communicate. So these values will be default one. Okay, the collection name. Okay, all those things will give at environment variable only. So just leave all this value aside. GPT-4 model I'm using, model temperature is fine. Chat message history count, this is important. I'm mentioning 24. 24 means it remember all the 12 conversation, like hi, hello, hi user, AI hello. So this will remember 12 conversation. But if you want to reduce your OpenAI cost, because see, all those conversation will be included in prompt. Okay, so you make sure ki if you are lower down this count, you will see that ki your cost will be slightly lower. So if you can make it maybe 6 or 7 as well, according to your. Okay, now we need to enable this embeddings here, like this OpenAI embeddings and LLM. So I think both of the registration is not needed as of now. Okay, I'm just making it comment now. LLM, just create this. When you are working with Langchain, always use this LLM variable as your model. So this will give you much more idea about Langchain hierarchy. Temperature, I'm getting model temperature, model ID, which is nothing but our environment variable value. Max token is 4096, which is maximum token value for this model. So token value I'm taking also as an environment variable. Otherwise it would be very difficult to again deploy the stack and change in Lambda function, because when you are working with SAM, you can't edit your Lambda function from Lambda console. You need to redeploy the whole stack. Now again I'm just connecting with the PGVector. These things you know. Now response API I have created, format document, clean response. I think clean response we are not going to use, but this is the most important function, which is a generate response. So we need to enable retrieval. So here we need to mention store PGVector, collection name, connection string, and most important embedding function. So we are going to use the same embedding function that we have used during data ingestion. Now this is retriever. Store is a retriever. Such you just mention k as a 20 or 10. So these things will be like, it would be simple like this number of documents will be returned to you as a simple understanding. Now you need to enable prompt. So QA system prompt, this is just a prompt engineering. You can like see the quality prompt you will give, the quality answer you will get. So I'm just mentioning all this. When it's first conversation, always greeting with hello professional, just how I behaving. It also remember like if it is your first conversation, second conversation, from the chat history. Now most important thing, where is chat history? So chat history, first of all we are storing into the PostgreSQL, the same database. So you need to generate this URL like PostgreSQL user, password, host, and database, session ID. Now if you can see here, my response API, it is taking two things from user input and session ID. Session ID, like for each user there will be different session. Okay, and that session ID generation will be responsibility of client. You just take in, this will be the most you can consider validation parameter. If this is not there, your request would not be fulfilled. So with this session ID will be unique key for each and every user, and that's how you can store your chat history. So session ID that you need to mention here. Now again there is a second prompt here. Second prompt is for what? It is just to for if someone is asking regarding chat history. So this prompt will be used here. So there is one concept called, I think you see, for this more information you can read the Langchain documentation, you will get it, but I'm just giving you the high level overview. So this is a message placeholder, system and human. According to the model, system and human will be there. System will generate the answer, human will ask the question. You can see variable name is chat history. So with this chat history variable, it is going to be reference here, and from that it will get the chat history. And now this is a whole pipeline, contextualized QChain. So prompt, LLM, and standard output parser. So these things are coming from the Langchain. Now this is most important thing. So if it is a first conversation, it would be go into the question stage. But if it is someone user is asking, like what did I ask you before, or any question which is relevant to previous question, it will be go into the chat history part. So that will be automatically detected by this whole Langchain framework. There are multiple things, and I want to appreciate who like for whole community to maintaining this framework. Now this is most important chain here. So human, question, chat history, and now this is a fully final chain, runnable pass through assign. Here we need to give context. So in context there will be the context as question and retriever. Retriever would be our data retrieval part that we have set it up, and format document. Then QA prompt, that prompt we have given at the end, LLM. And now I'm just adding the only 12 conversations. So from the conversation you can see this chat message history count, which we have defined 12. So if length of this, so what it will do from the conversation, see chat history would be 100 conversation, 200 conversation, but it will only pick up last 12. So this is the condition. If you are giving environment variable like 6, then it will remember only 3 conversation of folder. Then rank chain dot invoke question and chat history. So this will be the pipeline. So here in question will be feeding our user input. User input would be nothing but what question is user sending, chat history. So here we are sending chat history. See, this is variable name we need to mention, chat history, and older messages. Older messages how we'll get? So if you click on messages, there is a chat history dot messages. So this is a function. So If you can click on chat history is coming from PostgreSQL, and chat history.messages will give you the whole messages in a list format, older messages, and from that this is most important, like from this only it can able to remember the conversation what you have asked. Now once answer is generated, what I'm doing every time, I'm adding the user message and AI message. So there will be two part: user message, what user has asked; AI message, what AI has generated. So in user message, I will add this message as a user input, like what question, and AI message dot content. This will be the answer which is generated by our LLM model, and these two line will be pushing data, pushing question and answers into our PostgreSQL. And at the end, I'm returning AI message dot content, this function, and this is a Lambda handler. This is very simple. Like first of all, it will get the event body. Now if event body is empty or none, I will just raise the like 400 error, bad request or missing. But here also one thing is important, I'm also checking for session ID. So session ID user can pass it from the headers. So header, now header, from the header I will get the session ID value if user is passing, then otherwise I will generate the error. I'm mentioning the time as well. Now response API is a class. Response API, as I mentioned, the first would be user input, second would be session ID that I'm taking from user headers. Now this will generate the answer, and I'm pointing down the time in a round format. Now I'm just mentioning the timestamp. This will be my return dictionary success with, and at the end I'm sending that this response. Otherwise, if any error, I will send this as error. If it is any exception, just I will mention that these things are not working with proper error reason. Okay, I'm returning the error count, like error as well, like, so we can track what is the error, and this is our fully functional. Now what we need to do, we need to deploy this whole function into this here. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a Lambda app, as I told you, ls cd Lambda app. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create nano template.yml. So this thing I'm going to explain you now. This template.yml, this is a name that you always need to give, because SAM is working like that. If you give some other name, then you need to mention. So for this you need to have some knowledge of YML file and cloud formation. Timeout for my Lambda function is 9004096. Memory size, host. So host I need to change here. What would be my host? So host value, then Postgre user password, my model ID. So these things are by default environment variable, but you can set it later on from the console. This would be my resources. Generate response would be my Lambda function. Type would be serverless function, would be nothing but a Lambda. Code URI, this is important. My folder name you need to mention, backend. Now handler, my file name of Python function, which is Lambda handler response app. Okay, Lambda response app. Now dot lambda handler is nothing but it is my function name. So function name is this, the Lambda handler, not the another one, this one, Lambda handler function, from where I'm handling the event. Now Python 3.11 architecture event response. So this will be automatically create API gateway, just you need to mention post and response. So that's why I'm using SAM, otherwise you need to enable configure different API gateway again. And I'm just adding some description here. Okay, so this is just a basic overview. Go to your EC2, paste, Control X, right? Okay, now we need to create a directory called backend, cd backend. Now make sure you are giving a proper file name, nano lambda response app.py. Copy, done. Now requirement.txt, copy this file as well, nano save. And now my same structure is created here, and now you need to go back outside and you will see backend and template.yml here. Now we need to enable run the SAM build command. SAM build, we need to use Docker here. Use Docker container, this is most important thing, and parallel. So this will take some time, it will download some code URI from the Docker, it will take some time to build only first time. So I'm just going to pause my video over here. Now you can see my build is completed. Now on another command, SAM deploy. Now here there are multiple things you need to mention. Stack name, which is AWS LLM app. You can give any random name. Then profile, which is our profile as per the AWS CLI, which is Kushal. Region AP South 1. You can choose any region, and at the end mention guided. So guided will ask you some question. So now it will ask you some question. Region, you just need to like confirm changes before deployment. No, I don't want to do that. Allow SAM to create IAM role for you. Yes. Disable the rollback. No. Yes. Save arguments to configuration file. Why? Save. Here just mention environment, which is Kushal again, and this will take some time to deploy your application. So just wait for a while, 2 minutes. And if everything is working flawlessly, now you will see this message: successfully created updated stack in AP South 1, and that's how this SAM will be working. So now let's test the API. Sorry for getting some noise, just a minute. Yeah, so once your setup is done, you will see this message: your application is created in AP South 1. What you can do is you can just go to your Lambda function, Lambda console. You will see that multiple actually I have created, but you just need to focus on the name that you have given. Like we have given AWS LLM app, and which is deployed 3 minutes ago. Click on this. As I mentioned earlier, you can't edit any of this code from here. Okay, so you need to always remember that key. If you are making any code, that should be flawless and without error. Otherwise you need to again redeploy this stack with whatever procedure that we followed, like SAM build, SAM deploy. Now configuration, we need to edit environment variables. So you need to mention that in which collection you mention your data. So that will be pick up from here. Chat history count, I think 12 conversation is fine for me. Host value, you just reconfirm, which is right. Now model, this is my OpenAI API key. This is my model temperature. This is my GPT-4 model ID, username and password for my database, and I think everything is fine. Then okay. Now click on API gateway. You will see this API is created. Copy this API. Okay, done. Now go to headers. We need to mention session ID. So YT1234 I'm going to mention. Body. Okay, let me start with hello. Just click on the row and send. So I think it will take some time. Okay, you can see hello professional as AWS assistant. How may I help you? Response time generated within 1 second. Okay, now it means that our API is working smoothly. Now let me ask some question from here. Give me short answer. I think we are going to extract the readme pointers, just like a markdown pointers, but that will be not useful for Postman. But let's see the answer. Once we are confirmed with whatever things we are getting, it's right. Okay, the answer is right. Okay, now just integrate this, copy this API, go to your app which we have created, which is Streamlit app.py. So again, what here in application I'm doing is I'm generating session ID randomly. I'm using session state variable to store the session ID. Generate response, this is just a method to send request to my API, and this is like AWS assistant bot. I think this code you will get from the documentation. And in header, this is important. In header I'm mentioning my session ID, and for message I'm just maintaining one list to add the messages, and this is my function to create assistant, and here I'm calling my function which is generate response API. So this is main important function. Here I just need to change the URL of my older API to my newer API, and done. So you can see my URL is working, which is a new URL. And at the end I'm just placing my answer as st.markdown, and my answer will be generated. And once everything is done, I'm appending message into the session state.messages. So message is, as I told, I'm maintaining the list here for role, assistant, content, and everything. So this is ready-made code given by Streamlit documentation. You just search Streamlit chat component, you will get the same code. But what I have actually added is this generate function, which will send a request to our with user prompt, and once this is done, I'm just getting the response and displaying over here. So I'm not going to explain this whole code. I think this is very, you just need to be aware with Streamlit, and this is most important, which I'm generating session ID randomly. Okay, with the UID random digit 8 characters will be there. So let me run this. So like everything will look cool when you run the application. Like from the Postman for testing it's fine, but to check the result you just need to go in application. I'm not going to deploy this application, but you can deploy this application, and now you can see now this user ID will be generated randomly when you refresh the page. Now you can see user ID is different. Now let me ask hello, let's see. Okay, you can see the answer, hello professional, as AWS assistant bot, how may I help you? Pick any question from our data. If you want to change your collection name or any other configuration, you can go to your Lambda function environment variable. Like if you are pushing data to another collection, just come here and change the collection name. And I think in our case, our collection name is this only, which is new YouTube collection. And now you can see, give me short pointers only. Let me ask other question. And I think full demo we already seen before as well, and the start of video. Give me full answer with description. Again, just we are checking that everything is working flawlessly. I think this will take some time to generate. Okay, but one thing that we need to remember, okay, let me tell you later, but this is the answer trigger in AWS automatically. And I think as you can see here, when I asked for a description, it added information from actual knowledge base, which is already having it. This answer is not came from our database, which is good. Okay, but if you have huge database, then most probably answer will come from your database as well. Even though you can mention that as well in your prompt, that if a question are outside of your context, outside of our database, then please directly say no, you don't know this answer, or I don't know this answer, sorry. But in my case, I have not added that thing in prompt. Okay, now I'm just checking chat history. Can you explain me in short point? Let's see. See why I'm using Streamlit session stat. When I'm pressing the enter, it will not erase my session ID and it will not generate new one, because that's the reason why I'm using Streamlit session stat. And you can see things are like configured in proper way. Now if you can see the answer, like event source, automatic invocation, and things are event driven integration, automatic use case, concurrent execution, like scalable. So now things are in very short pointer. And the last question for testing, what question I asked you before? So guys, I think you can see, and lots of effort I have given, and you can see you asked me question, explain about short point. Yeah, which is right technically. And this you can see brief explanation of triggers in AWS Lambda. So guys, the answers are coming flawlessly, response are much faster. I think within 3 seconds I got answer. So that's how you can do integrate your LLM application using this Langchain framework, using this PostgreSQL, or you can use any VectorDB. So I hope that you guys are in sync whatever things we have implemented, and make sure that you just close the instance that you have created, otherwise it will incur the cost. So once I'm stopping this database, I can't able to do testing, because my Lambda function will be running 24/7, but not my EC2. If my EC2 is not working, data will be not retrieved, you will end up being error. So guys, like and share this video, and share and subscribe Machine Learning Hub, and don't forget to subscribe our Machine Learning Hub YouTube channel. Guys, see you in the next one. Until that, keep learning and keep updated with latest technologies. Thank you for the listening.